TwitchCon. It's standing room only, 100 of the best Fortnite players in the world, and the battle bus has launched. Good luck to all. Make some noise.
Looks like we've got a southeast to kind of mid-north bus path. You see the players jumping out, just kind of finding an even spread. You see in that southeast corner, Jack, too, people dropping over the water to get as low as possible before the parachute, their glider opens so they can float on in. The little set of even just looking at the minimap, who do you think that pair of red arrows is down there in the set of houses? I'm going to bet you anything.
I'm going to say it's Tfue and Cloak, and I'm pretty sure a lot of these guys, they scrim against each other. They play those custom games against each other. They know where they like to land. Chap's probably going to go towards Whaling. Tfue and Cloak's probably going to play that southeasternmost town, as some reference it as Westworld. Well, Aiden and Nick Merckx.
You see even flying over here right now, looks like Tendon's already having taken damage from that little pair in there. J-Love and Punisher dishing it out in Dusty Divot, but there are still players floating into it. Nick Merckx and Aiden trying to establish dominance in Tilted Towers, but Super Evan and Godnick took the large gray building. We'll have to see a little 2v2 in the town here.
And Nick Merckx and Aiden, they're part of the Controller Gang. Hey, who's repping Controller Gang out there in the crowd? Hey, there's a lot of people rooting for him for that reason. Off the break, you see they land together. They mentioned their aggression. 99 players remaining, now 98 in the lobby as Cease goes down early.
Having seen Nick Merckx and Aiden both play separately, it's impressive to me to hear Nick in that interview say that Aiden might be the only player he's ever encountered that is more aggressive than he is, and he's shown it many times in the past. Both of them mixing it up together, but they're on the same team now. Back here, we saw that early damage as we were flying over the path of the bus, and J-Love, Germ setting up here, and Dusty. These players, you'll notice they'll harvest even just one single piece off of a roof. Going for the snipe shot, and just barely misses by the ankle of his opponent as it rotates away to the north. Tree going down, not often seen though. The trees, typically competitive players leave those up so that they don't kind of throw up a signal flare as to, hey, here I am. He's looking at the shot just on the corner.
He knew the tree was weak, tries to predict it. So as you mentioned, most times players don't fully destroy those trees. They get them down to 50 health. Well, guess what? Hits it with the clean burst, tries to immediately follow it up. Heads up play doesn't happen there as of yet. Now remember the point system and breakdown, folks. 3 eliminations is what you need to get at least 1 point. Right now, no team of 3 as you'd expect.
We do
Quick
have
shot
2
there on
teams
attendance though.
And 2 elims though.
He's kind of trapped in this back room with only enough materials to build one more wall. This could spell disaster as these 2 players are split. That's the last wall. They've made it on in. The pump, the help from the teammate, knocks on either side. Germ down to just 12 hit points.
Securing that elimination. Not enough though. Punisher without a teammate now, but 150 HP to his name. That 50 shield there, pretty important. Gets a pair of eliminations. His teammate in striking distance of their first point. Meanwhile, Nibs and Korea, we mentioned this is a replay from earlier, how they picked up their first pair of elims. Barely holding on, Jack.
Doesn't get much closer than that as we check back in with Tilted Towers. We knew earlier on from seeing the overall map view that there was only 4 players here in total. Now, it does look like a slight health advantage would go over to Godnick and Super Evan. You'd know Aiden's got his eyes on that big shield right inside that new building. As they'll just continue to rotate, work together, farming up those materials. 89 players left. And this is, as you mentioned, if you're watching maybe for one of the first times one of these events, these games play out much, much different. Why are there still so many players remaining? What is the main difference here, Lupo?
Players are looking to earn points, and it's based on eliminations and placement. And so putting themselves in bad positions, exposing themselves just by being overly aggressive, going for eliminations is not necessarily the best play. In fact, I'd say it's probably the worst play. The crowd behind us as we switch between the POVs of Super Evan Godnick and
make some noise every time there's someone you recognize, folks. Yeah.
But players, they're going to try and play more for position in a situation like this because you don't have to engage every single fight. You don't have to be aggressive. You play intelligently, you play strategically, and sometimes that includes waiting. So the player count right now is still 89 left. Only a few teams have gone down as we've seen people fight for the same POI when they land. And that's going to be pretty common, like you said, in a competitive match like this.
Ooh, and a nice suppressed epic assault rifle right there as they'll keep this high ground for the moment. They know that there are more enemies in Tilted. The question for them right now is where? Do they have eyes on? I do believe so. And the first shots come on in. And here comes that aggression. It looks like they're going right for it. The glide now for Nick Merckx. Aiden with the follow. Who will claim Tilted Towers in game number 1? The build-up just narrowly missing the pump. As Aiden will continue to fight for this high ground. Another great pyramid placing to block that shot. There's one shield tag there as well. This is where Aiden is most comfortable as a player. And again, this aggression, hunting down their opponents at every waking moment. I believe Aiden didn't want to drop all the way that far down as he'll have to build back up. You take a look at the material count. Only 120 wood now remaining for Nick Merckx, so 12 walls he can place. Godnick a little bit split from his teammate. Evan just trying to stay alive for now. It looks like they're going to go for it. Aiden hopping right on down. Stinks come in. There's the knock. You challenge them in Tilted, and you might play with fire as they look to push down on the final one. Will they strike first? They've got him weak. Nick still chasing. Shot from Aiden. They've got him pinned in the stairs. This could be it for Godnick and Super Evan. Aiden.
There it is. Aiden and Nick Merckx saying, this is my Tilted Towers. Pick a different PLI to land at.
As you'd expect. They claim it. And there's that aggression. Using the new glider redeploy. Flying right on in. Remember, we're still using those most recent updates with some of the new weapons in. We just have the Fortnitemares disabled, so you won't see the cube monsters, you won't see the spawners here today, but the redeploy is still in. The 6-shooter will still be in play as well.
It wouldn't surprise me after that little play there if we see a rebrand of Nick and Aiden's towers.
This is getting longer and longer. Back on over to Nibs and Korea. This is Spookles and R7. Players from Rise Nation getting those quick eliminations. Doesn't get much easier than that.
We are west side of Salty Springs.
There's still 87 people left. Sorry to cut you off. 87 still remain.
The shot goes for it and just barely misses. Trying to catch players rotating out the east side of Salty. It looks like there might be 4 teams in rough proximity here, and Windwalker might have taken a shot at a totally different player as well, trying to catch somebody rotating away. You see there on the right side of your screen the format, just a reminder, especially that big bonus, super important. 87 players left. Just trying to go for the shots every single time.
And you know, he's got actually a great inventory right now. He's got the swap weapon. When we talk about swap weapon, it's when you have that pump with maybe an SMG of some sort to swap on over and consistently put out damage. Here's Baldy and Gunfly, members of Optic Gaming, trying to push on forward. They've got 2 players nearby. They've got some great utility as well. Not a lot of ammo right now for Baldy, so he's got to make these shots count. He claims the first wall. Will he be able to claim a second? It does appear so. The build battle continuing. Grapple, possibly back up to the high ground. Nothing as of yet. One close. Whips the pump shot.
His opponent maybe even not realizing that was him right in front of him. It looked like the grappler out. Shots from above. He's got to try and build up and defend. Gunfly, his teammate, has a top-down view as well. He's got himself kind of in a box, half owned by his opponent. Some traps, you hear him going down there, and Gunfly is trying to build to defend himself.
And this is the worry about those third-party engagements. When we say third-party, we talk about when, well, there's a fight like this, 2 teams going at it, a third team then makes their presence known, looking for some free damage. As now it looks like the fight will stall for a brief moment as Diggy and Perfect Tilt have got to the high ground.
Now I'd like to point out Diggy and Perfect Tilted earlier during a previous heat, Heat 4, they took home $40,000 from the Make It Rain bonus, which we're not too far away from. So we could see a repeat for them. Raz and Bog here. Bog not looking too hot HP, but Raz still able to defend his teammate, hopefully, here in the kind of the corrupted zone to the southwest of Dusty.
Now, one thing to point out, Fortnite games, what, normally last 20, 25 minutes?
Roughly.
It has been now almost 3 minutes since our last elimination. That is how slow these games will be off the break, as everyone wanting to just hope the players around them all begin to drop. You see Hysteria there in your engagement feed with the snipe onto Villix from 45 meters, as Bizzle and DMO. Bizzle, one of the highest earning Fortnite players
and this duo, history. Arguably a pretty solid fan favorite. A lot of people have been supporting Ghost for a while. It's good to see those players show up. Aiden, another member of Ghost, always putting on a good show. The edits down, trying to take possession of as many of these surfaces as possible, just in case an opponent tries to sneak in. You can catch somebody off guard as they rotate underneath.
And this is why so many players want to avoid, they try to avoid these kind of early to mid-game fights, because look at this right now for Razaru. No healing left, no other utility remaining, not many mats, less than 350 mats. If they get in a straight-up fight with these two, win or lose, I can tell you right now, based off of DMO and Bizzle's health, they don't have a hell of a lot either. So it's one of those things where it's like, hey, we get in that fight and next thing you know, even if we win it, we're still sitting there going, wait, we have nothing to our name. Look at how little ammo they have for the assault rifle as well. Bizzle and DMO not in an ideal position at all. Oh, Vinny Zexro. Standouts from day one.
Zexro, one of the most aggressive players we've seen so far here in the grand finals for the Fall Skirmish, taking shots. Literally, as I said, one of the most aggressive players, pushing up those ramps, building up. He's going to use the glider redeploy here in a second, get a top-down view as his teammate moves in at the same time. Vinny far underneath him. He's just looking for a top-down angle, and there's no risk here because if that gets shot out like it is, he just pops the glider redeploy and flies in on his opponent. Exactly what's going to happen is his opponent building up above him and his teammate trying to match. Looks like the quad, using it to just drop any structure. The shotty for over 100. Keep himself down to 92. Vinny gets the knock. Overpeak is now, which means it's a 1v2 situation. Zach's going to take just a moment here. Pop a full shield. Vinny looks like he's doing the same thing with minis, which puts him just over 100. Overpeak knockdown right next to him. That's going to be tough to save. Oh, teammate Dopeye building up. Looks like he's getting shot from above potentially as well. Vinny and Zexro are in such a good spot right now. Even though they're just outside the zone, but with so much HP and shield, they have an opportunity to take advantage of that. Kind of
look at Vinny's ammo.
Do a little bit of gatekeeping. Only 12 shots.
Yeah.
Medium is very low right now, and a body shot from a bolt action could spell defeat for him as well. Dopeye's going to have to move very soon, waiting for the edge here, especially if he doesn't have any HP healing, like a medkit, bandages, anything like that. He's in a tough spot. Zexro's going to take advantage of that. He's just kind of waiting. That's why he waited the very last second to rotate, see if he can catch his opponent rotating. Vinny gets that elim. Dopeye actually goes down to Yo-Yo Keep It Up, who is potentially the third party. Maybe not the bounce he intended there as he flies towards his opponent.
He hits the crater. He's having to burn through all his materials down to just 70 left.
6 builds, 5 builds. He's ramping up.
Oh, he gets pyramided. He's stuck in the zone for the moment, down almost out of materials. And folks, actually now 5 more seconds. This is going to be a $50,000 make it rain period right here. Here we go. Remember, during this time between zones 3 and 4, whoever earns the most eliminations, $50,000 will be earned. Keep an eye on that engagement feed. Who will win that huge sum of cash?
Now, Jack, in a situation like this, you've played in events like this in the past. I mean, we both have, even today, the Stream Invitational. $50,000, is that going to make you play kind of out of position from, you know, your normal strategic? That's a lot of money, Jack.
It is a lot of money. I think the big thing with it is, you know, they can try their best to keep track, but it's not really one of those like tangible things that you can say. You know, for example, when you're going for just straight up eliminations to earn a point, you can say, hey, we're 1 elimination away. Let's really try to hunt down in third party one of these fights to get that last elim we need. In this, you're kind of just hoping other fights don't happen. You're trying to do all this addition in your head for these elims. I think you just have to play and keep it in the back of your mind like, hey, maybe we can get a couple extra during this, but if not, they can't let it change their game too much.
Looks like Linane and Skatch moved into Tilted as Nick and Aiden are rotating away. And you see on the right side of your screen, Fuzzy 301 and Enigma already have 2 eliminations. If no elims happen during the time, it would carry over no matter what, which means now if 2 teams do tie for the most eliminations in the next 4 minutes and 8 seconds, then it still carries over. But put another $10,000 on the Make It Rain bonus. Every time that thing grows, I get a little more nervous for the way these players are going to change their play style. Here we go, Fuzzy. His teammate Enigma is out, but 2 eliminations. The 2 of them looks like they may have finished team 6 grenades. He's got a pretty good setup here. 142 medium ammo, surprisingly quite a bit for a competitive match where players are playing a little more strategically. There's 81 players left still in this circle. DMO, Bizzle stuck right there above Raz and his teammate Bog. Looking down from above. They're just outside the zone, so they're going to have to make a rotation relatively soon. It's not pressing. They have a minute and a half still, and then some, so they have to bounce out.
And again, that Make It Rain bonus you see is strictly counting the eliminations from this segment, just during the Make It Rain for the moment. As we continue to stick with players, Shifty Shafts and Salty both about to be out of play, meaning the points of interest on the map, the named areas, 0 will be in play for this zone. Half the zone is in that kind of river in the ravine where you get stuck down there, you're in a pretty poor positioning. You see everyone try to sprint on out. Yo-Yo Keep It Up, Zexro and Vinny gatekeeping as well. They know someone's nearby. Yo-Yo Keep It Up ticking down to that zone.
He's trying to edge it as long as he can. He doesn't want to get too aggressive.
Look at this, he can't even run out.
Might be kind of a trouble here. 24, 22 HP. He's got 2 bandages to pop before he's forced to move in.
He's got to glide.
Meanwhile, there's still other teams trying to rotate into the circle. Yo-Yo managing to fly just past. Doesn't realize potentially just yet that this is unoccupied, but he's going to find out quickly. No one else is there, which is solid play. 2 minutes and 20 seconds left on the Mega Rainbow.
And we have our first two teams that have earned themselves a point this game. Hysteria with 3 eliminations with Blind. We'll put them on the board with a point, both representing C9, and then ECA, Punisher, and Tendons with 3 eliminations as well.
But laser there from Yo-Yo on Delphi rotating in. Wanted to take a look at that. His 1 elimination thus far. Donald Gamebro, his teammate, knocked out.
Now, folks, just to reiterate, there's 76 players remaining in this game, and that's the entire zone on the top right of your screen. That's where we stand right now.
2v2 here. Sword, two members of Sword. Devious Frosty stuck up above. Having the top down on Aiden and Nick. Those stink grenades. You're trying to use those kind of to try and root Nick out of the little structure he's built up in. Any of those ticks of damage, players are going to try and move away from it. And if they're used correctly, you can force opponents to make moves just the way you want them to.
Ghoul from Ghost Gaming with a knock on Diggy.
And
75 players left, and this is probably going to be one of the last zones before everything's going to go nuts. 1 minute and 10 seconds on the Make It Rain bonus as we keep track of that as well.
Cloak in the feed. Cloak and Tfue finally showing up in the feed there.
In your elimination feed. Remember, this is arguably the most stacked lobby in Fortnite competitive history. Here at the Fall Skirmish Finals, you wouldn't expect anything different, as Devious and Frosty still on that high ground. Are they looking to use the new Glider redeploy? What will the answer be from Aiden and Nick Merckx? Lenane and Scratch on the top side of the map too, beginning to move, and there's Cloaksy and Tfue right in the heart of the zone, healthy as ever, looking to strike early in game number 1.
Like you said, this is almost at the point where the circle is going to start claiming quite a few players' time here at the crowd every time Tfue and Cloak show up. A lot of love for FaZe.
Again, to stress, players, for player integrity, skins have been randomized during all these matches. Oh no.
Aiden and Nick,
oh, no.
Nick on the verge of elimination. Aiden just barely holding on, 5 HP, trying to defend against Zexro.
They got 3 though. They did get 3, so Aiden and Nick Merckx officially on the board with a point. Might not be the ending they want, but you know what? They're on. They've got themselves 1.
I know in the bottom right corner, as Vinny gets eliminated there, it looks like they might have been teammates, but Vinny and Yo-Yo actually opponents basically in the same box next to each other. The number of teams now that are in line of sight of each other it's going to be insane. You have Funk Bomb, Nate Hill here. We cut across. They're just outside the zone. They're going to have to rotate northwest ever so gently, sharing the ammunition, this little base they built. Nate trying to go for a snipe shot, just watching for any team to rotate. Now's the time to do it too, because he doesn't have to, these two, they don't have to move very far. So if they're looking to build up some eliminations just for point's sake, this is a good time to do it. Hopefully they realize Payne, Vape Jesus, Marksman, and his teammate are all stacked above him on that hill. It's going to be a tough hill to move away from. Earlier we saw Bog and Raz actually, for a little while, had the most eliminations during the main road set. 3, but DMO and Bizzle caught him from above here. Was getting the knock on Bog. Those clingers so important too when used correctly. You saw Bizzle drop 2 on the structure just above and then immediately swap to shoot it out, so that once the explosion of the first one happened, the second would fall in on his opponent, and that's exactly how it played out. Well done there. Cloak and Tfue. Shots coming from multiple directions while they're editing holes, windows, and walls to try and take shots of their own, looking for parties rotating away. 87 medium ammo. A handful of shotgun shots. Tfue gets sniped 39 meters from Nate Hill. The riff from Cloak just trying to make it away, and
he's just got to accept it's gone. That's how Tfue goes out. Nate Hill, fellow FaZe member with lightning quick reactions, hits the shot, and now Cloaksy's left by himself. But he had 2 rift to goes.
I feel like we've seen Cloak every game he's played so far, at least carrying 1. You see a team way up in the air over there. Hysteria's going to go for a shot here. The hunting rifle just looking for any sort of movement. Peek over the top. He's going to try and take a shot, and that team does know that he's there. Very quick peek there. Hysteria and Blind in an excellent position at the very top of this hill. They have a top down on everybody. Cloak still plays
their position is good, but look at Hysteria's health especially.
Tough.
Rough spot. At 72 hours now in the elimination feed, Tenpo and Jamok. Hysteria wants this shot so darn bad. He's got a lot of materials, which I'll definitely say is a great spot, but here we go. This is where you're about to see over half this lobby, dropped like fries. Fries.
Fries, flies.
Flies. It's an all-out race, and here we go.
In front, Hysteria, multiple teams moving up the same ramp.
Oh yeah, gets a quick tag on one.
He's got to watch that zone, only 35 HP like you pointed out earlier, but he has a chance here to just take free shots essentially on teams that are rotating into the zone.
Look at this, they're scattered all in front of him. They continue to try to keep this high ground. 30 seconds as this zone continues to shift. Saint building on up. Morgossi now there as well. Funk Bomb and Nate Hill on the low ground. Blind with the pyramid on the top. There's someone up top as well. You see Hysteria frantically trying to stop that high ground from his opponent. 53 players remaining now as the elimination feed begins to light on up. Horrified drops to the storm. Hysteria still inching forward. Oh gosh though. They've got Dementos and Pate just above. Hysteria is just going to forfeit that high ground and float using the Glado redeploy. And look at the
Storm claiming so many lives there in the feed. Players going down, getting caught mid-rotation. Hysteria and Blind
27.
To establish
That's how fast
half
we just
the
lost
field
half the
just
lobby.
went down.
It's because of these mountain plays, and now they've got to go right back.
Literally the opposite direction. They have to move through this structure, which Hysteria catches an opponent who doesn't even realize they're in the same box together. The Storm starting to tick for 8 as Hysteria is trying to push up, getting caught. Another player shows up right next to him. It was Ghoul from Ghost. The Storm claims Hysteria, but he got one just before he went out.
And Blind just got another knock as well. So that with Hysteria's 4th elimination, Blind's also got one. I just looked at the engagement feed right now. Frosty has 6 elims now at the moment there from Soar 2. So many players racking up the points now. 15 remaining in this game. Morgossi, who is the winner of the summer skirmish, still alive in this game 1 alongside his teammate.
This spread here, a very vertical set of players, 15 remaining. Pate and his teammate all the way up top. Morgossi and Saint trying to basically spray out the surfaces, looking for an opportunity to take a shot here.
He's still in this as well.
14, no shield on the target. They're just going to go for the elimination. As soon as you see a white marker, that's called immediately by players at this level.
Nate Hill and Funk Bomb now drop.
What an angle. 55 shield tag there.
Can't chase it. There it is.
On the way down.
8 players remaining. 13 on this zone. Remember, you begin to get towards the top 5 when you earn the points for placement as well. Cloakzy still in this one. He's earned multiple eliminations as well with getting him and Tifu a point. Pate and Dementos on the high ground. It's all going to come down to this. 8 players left. A quick shotgun tag comes in. Saint and Morgossi still playing, looking on down. No materials left. They're going to have to chase this one as he looks for any bit of damage he can get. He takes some fall damage as well. The stink drops him down to just 10 HP. He's going to float down the mountain. Everyone on one ramp. It's all out warfare as he's down to 31 health. Floating to the low ground. These stinks are so good in this last zone.
Might spell defeat there.
You've got Saint now playing the high ground. He's got
the reload.
Cloakzy's still in this too.
4 players left.
Oh, he's got this. He's got to have this. He's just playing the heal zone.
Kits.
You saw the smile as well. I think he knows he's got it. I think he knows he's got it. There's no way. Cloakzy's done all he can. Cloakzy's done all he can. That's it though.
Make some noise.
Pate with the heals.
Well played.
And just like that, they get it done. But you know what? Cloakzy's hyped by himself. The man goes all the way to top 2 with, I believe, he had like 5 elims on his own.
A valiant effort, honestly, but Pate, yeah, I mean, we saw at the end there 3 med kits, was sitting on a campfire, and there were multiple layers built between him and Cloak down at the bottom. It was basically unlosable at that point. Look at this. Look at this view. He's just enjoying the time. Not a care in the world, Jack.
Cloakzy just fought off like 3 duos by himself, and Pate's just enjoying life up in the sky with a med kit, a campfire, staying warm there. He could have done that all darn day, but what a game number 1 to kick things off here from our grand finals. 100 of the best Fortnite players in the world have qualified from these heats. Obviously 50 duos with just shy of $2 million on the line, and if that's the start we're gonna have, then we're in for a great day. Remember, we're playing 6 games during this grand finals, and that's just the first one.
At the end there, like we pointed out, there was a clear from 50 down to almost 25 or less players remaining with 1 Storm rotation. We saw a Storm move basically back the direction it came, back across the hill, and the players at that point, as they get kind of smeared around the edge, they have to fight each other off for even the same ramps. We saw Hysteria following teams up their build as they put it down.
It's the mountains. It's the rise in the elevation that you can't push through it. It's not like normal when you're outside and you can just continue to run flat. you've got to go up these awkward angles, and you can only take so many paths. And you saw that's kind of how Hysteria's game ended there. We saw a few teams with at least 5+ elims in that one. I know the Sword duo had it with Frosty and Devious. I believe Hysteria and Blind did as well. And then at the end of that one, Tfue and Cloaksy. Tfue didn't have an elim, I don't think, but it was Cloaksy who by himself began to pop off and I think got them second.
A number of eliminations.
Yeah,
simultaneously at the end because multiple teams were falling down on top of each other. We saw Saint and Morgassi basically clamoring for any surface. Morgassi was hit multiple shots as players were falling down out of the sky and utilizing their builds against them because otherwise he would have, I mean, as soon as you pop your glider on the way down like that, you expose yourself because players look for that. We're going to take a look back at number replays from the previous match there. Game 1 of the grand finals. The fall skirmish here. Aiden and Nick Merckx establishing dominance in Tilted Towers. Yo-Yo keep it up in his teammate. Game Road catching the second of that pair. They'll buy off guard there. Bizzle DMO. The usage of clingers there as they drop in on Bog and Raz. A 1v2 situation at that point from above is tough. It's going to be difficult to get out of that, and they don't. Bizzle DMO claiming that pair there. Hysteria and Blind.
This moment was so nuts as everyone was just trying to chase up the side of this mountain. Dean, see Lyle as well. Yo-Yo keeping it finally goes down, and look at the transition back. These ending zones that continuously move. Hysteria just kept getting caught.
And the shot there, 170.
Just huge as he drops Ghoul. Morgassi and Saint, you thought they had it. This was a great little flick. The headshot there, but paid at the end. And folks, I just received word, something we forgot to mention actually, to even sweeten the prize a little bit more. Every Victory Royale today, the winning team wins 50 grand. So,
surprise!
Paid for the heel at the end. Congrats.
$50,000.
You and your duo split $50,000. So we get to keep that in mind as well. You see the crowd alive and well, enjoying themselves here live from TwitchCon. A sold-out event, a massive crowd enjoying all the different Fortnite splendors that we have here. But Lupo, great game number 1.
Absolutely.
As we look back on it, you saw, we talked about in the Heat 1, too, on the start on Friday. There were some games where 0 teams landed Tilted Towers.
Which was surprising. Right? Oftentimes you see players, especially competitive players, they analyze the drops of their